Fundamental to any essay on natural law is an understanding of the primary and secondary precepts as formulated by St. Thomas Aquinas. The primary precepts essentially outline or explain what is required in order for us to fulfill our ultimate telos or purpose as intended by God. God is our efficient cause, our creator. He has made us with and for a purpose. Thus, if we can discover what our purpose is, we can know how we should behave. Aquinas tells us that according to reason and revelation, God's intention for us is to do good and avoid evil, in order to gain fellowship with him. Ultimately, the whole point of existence of human life on earth is to develop a right relationship with God. The primary precepts established via reason and in accordance with divine law tell us how to achieve this. How you decide to explain these in an essay is largely up to you. The primary precepts are best explained with reference to examples from the secondary precepts, which are a more in-depth explanation of how to behave. The secondary precepts will help us to understand how to fulfill the primary. It is tempting to list the primary first in an essay and then go back through and list the secondary. The problem with this is that either you don't get the depth of explanation this way, or you end up repeating yourself. It may then be better to refer to secondary precepts as you go along. We have arranged the primary precepts into an acronym to help you, but do not feel the need to repeat this memory aid to the examiner. The first primary precept is protect the innocent. Sometimes you will see this written as preserve life. Either or both is fine. This is one way that we will do good if we follow it. A secondary precept to demonstrate how to fulfill the primary precept could be, do not abort the unborn. There may be any number of secondary precepts that will help us to fulfill the primary. This is an example of just one of them. The second primary precept is to order society. One might do this by arranging society in a way that means that sexual relationships are orderly. Therefore, a secondary precept that upholds this is to marry. This way, children will be born into clear family units. The third is to worship God. One might do this, for instance, by obeying the 10 Commandments or by going to church. These are secondary precepts that help us to know how to uphold the primary. Fourthly, we must educate the young. This could be achieved via a secondary precept of ensuring school for all, or it might be via compulsory church visits where one might be educated in the ways of religious law. The final primary precept is to reproduce. This might be fulfilled by refraining from using contraception. What is significant about the primary precepts here is that they are all in accordance with Scripture. None of them frustrate or violate any command from God. In addition, they are all available to our reasoning faculties. It is clear to Aquinas that the only way we are going to successfully survive is if we follow these laws, and the secondary precepts are there to show us how. The primary precepts are absolute and binding. Since this is a deontological theory, we can say that it is our duty to obey these regardless of the circumstances. We know the precepts via the use of right reason. Our conscience can demonstrate these are correct. In addition, we can be sure of the accuracy of these commands because they are in accordance with God's law revealed in Scripture and according to his created order. The secondary precepts are a little different. They can be described as being more relative, but be careful here. They should not violate or frustrate a primary precept. Their purpose is to uphold the primary precepts. However, the secondary precepts are formulated according to the situation or a culture that a person lives in. It may be possible that a different culture could follow natural law and yet have slightly different secondary precepts. It is possible that a secondary precept could be broken if it upholds the primary precepts even more to do so. All this requires the use of rector ratio. Our conscience or reasoning faculties are essential here if we are going to be able to discern the best laws or precepts and when it is appropriate to suspend them. However, adherence to these means that we can get closer to God by achieving His purpose for us. An example of an appropriate situation where it might be best to suspend a secondary precept would be a rule such as do not steal. Clearly, this is a correct rule, as it upholds the primary precept to order society. However, if the owner of a gun intended to kill others with it, to return this gun to the owner would violate the primary precept to preserve life or protect the innocent, and even to order society too. Hence it would be appropriate to suspend the secondary precept in order to achieve the primary. Clearly it is vital that we reason rightly here, as wrong reason could mean a horrible mistake.